to a brand new playoff edition of Have a Shift Day. We were so sidetracked trying to get started. Nick, I really hope you're not frozen. Oh no, you did freeze for a second.
Yeah, you were frozen on my screen.
We'll see how that shows up in the recording, but whatever the face that was that you just made, it froze. And yeah, that face. Oh, but yeah, we're back to talk more playoffs and some.
Great start to the episode. Great start. Great start. Great start to the episode. Anyway, since Megan's having technical difficulties, welcome to episode 30 of Have a Shift Day, here for our weekly episode while Megan cannot speak. Anyway, so on today's episode, we'll be discussing just kind of how the second round has played out. So obviously we'll talk about the Avalanche beating the Wild. We'll get into that. We'll get into Vegas and the Ducks, the end of that series. We'll get into Game 7 of the Sabres and Habs. That will be tomorrow or today when this uploads, as Megan is absolutely rattled. We're off to a great start. Anyway, we're going to call a timeout here, and we'll be back when Megan gets her audio. Anyway, it sounds like Megan is back, so...
No!
So, before we begin, make sure... You're back!
Wait, hang on.
Did it... Yeah.
How's that? Okay.
Good.
So I have a weird setup here. So I've got my tiny mics, and the way it just worked for me last summer was I was like getting set up, and my phone connected to my computer and was like, oh, your phone can be used as a microphone. I'm like, okay, I'll just do that, I guess. And so I plugged in the stuff for the microphone into my phone, and I've just been doing that ever since. But for whatever reason, my microphone just tapped out and just disconnected for no reason. I didn't touch a thing.
And it's gone again.
Me.
Oh, and it's back.
Okay. It's because I dropped it down for Do Not Disturb. Okay, but yes, Nick laid out everything that we're going to talk about. Thank you for filibustering for me, Nick.
Well, I didn't have a choice. It was that or awkward silence for like a minute.
You did great.
Thank you.
But it's not a Have a Shift Day episode if we don't have technical difficulties, so something had to happen. But before we get into all of the second round madness, make sure you're subscribed to Have a Shift Day on YouTube and Spotify, and make sure you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X, so you never miss an episode or an update about a new episode or our daily playoff recaps. Though I'm going to be honest, I haven't been posting on X very much. So follow Instagram and TikTok. We have the most traction.
Yeah, I forgot we had an X account.
We don't have a lot of followers.
No,
and that's
we should
okay.
probably use that more.
We should, but we don't. We'll work on that next season.
Someone to work on the X account.
We have people to do that. We just didn't focus on that very much.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll work on it. But yeah, TikTok and Instagram. So
if we get 1,000 followers on TikTok, I'll post a dancing video.
I might make you do that anyways next year.
If we get 1,000 followers by... How many followers do we have right now? Hold on, I gotta make this realistic.
You have to check.
I'm pretty sure we're at we're at 416 followers. If we get to 1,000 followers on X by the time, if we get 600 more followers before the season starts, I will post a dancing video on the Have a Shift Day account.
Okay. All right.
And it will not be
Let
recreating the
me.
We Like Fortnite video from 6 years ago that all of a sudden's blowing up on TikTok.
I don't want to know.
It has over 15,000 views now, and a lot of that's from like the past 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the Avalanche defeating the Wild. Let's get started with that. The Avalanche win in 5 games, and they beat. Why am I like pausing and not functioning? They beat the Wild in Game 5, 4-3 in overtime. By the way, Colorado, you're welcome for Brett Kulak.
What can I say except you're welcome?
You're welcome.
What's that from?
Moana.
Oh, okay. See, I get that Encanto, and then what's the other island one? Is it Luca? Is that the
Luca
name?
is on like an Italian island kind of thing. I don't know if it's an
Well,
island or
like the
not.
island ones, I get them all like
But
confused. I
Encanto
haven't
is
seen
not
any of
on an
them, so
island. Encanto is
Encanto's
in
not?
Colombia.
Oh,
Encanto takes place in Colombia.
what's the other like? Wait, what did you say that was from? Not Encanto. What is the
Moana.
Moana?
Yeah.
Is that the one with the rock?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
All right, let's stay on track here. But game 5 was crazy. The Wild went up 3-0 after the first period. Mackenzie Blackwood was in net, correct? Yeah. Yeah, he was in net.
Yes.
No.
Yes?
Yes? Oh my
No,
gosh.
it
It
was
was a
Wedgwood.
was it did he get
Let me go back
did
to Wedgwood.
Blackwood get pulled and Wedgwood went in? We really should have reviewed this. This game was like 5
Um,
days ago.
hold on,
But
kiddos and cadets.
But the Avalanche slowly stormed back. They scored in the second period, and then they scored with the goalie pulled in the third. 2 goals. Nathan MacKinnon made sure not to miss. Well, the net wasn't wide open, but he made sure not to miss the net
Yes,
from that spot
so
of the ice again.
Blackwood got
Tied it up.
pulled, Wedgwood came back in. Sorry.
It's what I thought. Okay.
Yes.
Um, and then Brett Kulak sort of off the rush, off a rebound in overtime. You're welcome, Colorado. Bet Edmonton's really liking that trade right now that they made with us.
Tristan Jolly. We got Stuart Skinner and Colorado got Brett Kulak.
Yeah. Again, we have some drama to talk
When did
about.
we trade Kulak and what did we trade him for?
We got Gerard in that trade.
Oh, that's right. That was the Sam Gerard trade.
Mm-hmm. But Nick, let's not talk about the Penguins now. Let's talk about the Wild and them collapsing. That was very unfortunate because if you've been watching, you know that both me and Nick were on the Wild bandwagon, so that sucks. But Colorado
Brings
is
tears to my
a
eyes.
wag. I love how you're like crying about it and you're wearing an Avs shirt, but Colorado's a
Yeah, I
wagon.
know. I was wearing the jersey though, the Wild jersey, so.
Yeah.
God, are we serious? Okay, never mind. I'll do about
Talk
that
about
later.
Colorado. Let's not rage about other things right now. We've been off track too many times today already.
Sounds good. Okay, Mutie.
What?
You're Mutie. That's your new nickname.
Can you hear me though?
Yeah, just from
Okay.
earlier, you're now Mutie.
All right, whatever. Talk
Mutie
to me about.
Lukitsch.
So, okay. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with this conversation. Colorado. I have said for the past couple of years, despite my very first bracket that I made when we started doing bracket videos, I don't trust President's Trophy teams. I said the same thing this year. I couldn't be more wrong so far. I haven't seen, well, okay, it's only been 2 years since I've seen a President's Trophy team go this far, but like the Avs seriously look like they could do it. They could break this President's Trophy curse.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have a very boring conference final when it comes. At least Western Conference finals should be boring.
I think it could be interesting.
No.
All
This
right,
team
continue.
compared to Vegas they're gonna dominate Vegas. Um, Carolina's match is gonna be in the Stanley Cup final against Carolina. That'll be a great series. Um, that might be the best Stanley Cup final we've had in a while. Because that's gonna go 7. I don't know who's gonna win. Um, But yeah, this team looks just top to bottom. It's just loaded. I mean, you have the top lines doing what they do best, obviously. McKinnon still looks like no one can stop him. I mean, Nietzsche's on his side is just scary too. Landeskog's back to form now that he's healthy. I mean, even though depth scoring has just been very good.
The big advantage they had over the Wild was their center depth. Yeah. I remember, like, around the trade deadline, everyone's like, oh, Minnesota needs to address their center depth. Like, they don't have a lot. Mm-hmm. They get that. Like, that should push them over the edge. And, yeah, they were able to finally get through the first round and, like, get over that hump that they haven't been able to overcome for over a decade. But then, I mean, you get basically a Western Conference final in the second round, and you face the deepest, best, craziest, strongest team in the whole league. Like,
the fact that
they were without Joel Eriksson Ek, so that didn't help them at all. And Colorado has been out without Artturi Lehkonen, and I didn't even know that until like halfway through the series. I was like, they look fine.
Don't even need him.
They don't need him. And like, if they get him back,
Lehkonen's always so good in the playoffs.
Yeah, and if they get him back, like, yikes! Good luck to whoever plays him.
That's what I mean. Vegas.
We know it's Vegas next, but I don't know his status right now. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But the Wild off-season outlook, the big question is whether or not Quinn Hughes is going to sign an extension. It sounds like he's leaning towards it happening.
Yeah.
But like sometimes when they're talking, it's just like it sounds 50-50. But also the interesting thing is that both him and Cale Makar are up for an extension. So it's like, okay, who's going to budge first and see who gets what? And then, because it was kind of the same thing with McDavid waiting for Kaprizov last summer.
Yeah.
And now the two best defensemen in the league are going to be like, just stand still.
I mean, the only thing that's different, though, is Makar's an RFA where Hughes is a UFA.
He is?
I believe so. I thought... Oh, wait, no, I could be wrong. I think they're both...
They've been in the league for, like, the same amount of time.
Yeah, I think they're both
I would think,
RFAs.
I think they're both UFAs.
No. I'm sorry, Quinn Hughes is a UFA. If Cale Makar is actually a UFA and just no one's talking about it, I would high-key be surprised.
I mean, I don't think he would go anywhere. That's why I probably know.
But, like, I feel like him not being signed yet.
I don't think he's eligible for an extension yet. I think that's why he's not signed yet. I think it's...
Okay, so Makar is a UFA after next season?
Yeah, so that means he's same. It should be the same thing with Quinn Hughes, which is why they're not eligible for an extension until after July 1st.
Yes. I am a year ahead of myself.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to say. But I mean, your thoughts on Hughes most likely staying in Minnesota? Like, I know there's always talk like, oh, he wants to play with his brothers, but like, do we think that's ever gonna happen?
Yes. I think it's.
Do you think the Hughes brothers will ever fully be together?
Also, yes.
Interesting.
I don't see him leaving Minnesota, but also, if the Devils are low-key interested in him, I could see him wanting to go to New Jersey to play with his brothers. But I don't think he'd do that until, like, next season, he's going to stay in Minnesota the whole year.
Yeah, he might. I could see him signing like a shorter term extension. I don't think he'll sign, like a 6-year extension, because that, like, the maximum length of contracts that you can sign is going to get shorter with this new CBA.
Yeah, I think it's 7 years total.
I think it's 7 for a re-sign, 6 for a UFA.
Kind of like it is in real life. In real life, oh my gosh. My mind's just all over. I worked
NFL,
7 hours today.
MLB, NBA. Are you trying to pick a league here?
I've been playing too much franchise mode lately, so like my mind's kind of like locked in.
That's okay, and you're tired, so we're gonna give you the benefit
Yes.
of the doubt. What do you think happens with Gustafson? Do you think somebody's gonna try and inquire on a trade with him? Because I mean, having two goalies that can help you make a run is great, but I mean, they had Wallstead, excuse me, starting almost every game, and I know he
Yeah,
kind of
I think
fell off a bit in the
Gustafson's
second
gonna
round, but
go
he's a rookie.
bye-bye.
Where could
I
you see
could
him landing,
honestly...
or who should try and go after him? I know there's an obvious answer for
The
sure.
Edmonton Oilers.
Yes.
I don't think there's debate about this.
No, there's not. I
The
agree that
Edmonton
that's who
Oilers.
should
Correct
target him.
answer.
Will they actually go after him is the question. So, we will see what happens with the Minnesota Wild this offseason. Hopefully they can boost up their center depth, go on another run next year, but the immediate future looks pretty good in Minnesota right now.
Yeah. It would have helped if you
Elsewhere
got Trocheck, but...
Yeah. That price probably was too high, but that's neither here nor
Yeah, but
there.
after you see Kadri go to Colorado, I think you just had to do it.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the standings, how they were at that point of the season and for most of the season, you knew that, okay, if we get out of this first round, we are more than likely playing Colorado.
Yeah.
I know there was a bit of Dallas was close at one point, but you still have to build up your roster to prepare for the teams that you know you will most likely play. Like if you're trying to get to the Western Conference Final, you don't know who you're going to play in the Western Conference Final. There are like 4 possible teams. But if you know the likelihood that, okay, we're going to go through this team and this team in the first 2 rounds, like you have to make sure you're prepared to compete against them. And it's kind of like, I mean, I hate to compare it to the Olympics, but it's a little bit similar to that. Like, Billy Guerin was building the roster to beat Canada, and Doug Armstrong was building the roster to beat the USA. Like, that's just, you think of your most likely opponent, your strongest opponent, and you try and build up your roster to be able to compete and defeat them. So,
yeah.
They absolutely should have gone after center. I think the Kadri deal was super late though, so like kind of came out of left field, and they're like, too late. We have the centers we have. So elsewhere in the Western Conference, the Vegas Golden Knights defeated the Anaheim Ducks in 6 games. Game 6 was not great for the Ducks, but the future is bright in Anaheim. I know they have a lot of re-signings they have to do with their young players like Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson. Those guys are going to be RFAs, but I think hopefully like Pat Verbeek can like sit down and talk to them and be like, hey, we're building something here. Like, we want you guys to stay. Like, let's work something out where you guys each get paid like what you should earn, and also keep this core, because that was, honestly, I enjoyed watching the Ducks games in these playoffs. I was sad to see them go. But they're a fun team, and the Western Conference is going to be going through Anaheim as well as San Jose in the very, very near future.
Yeah. Sorry, Ethan, but LA is kind of the worst California team next year. But no, hockey's going to run through Cali next year, except LA. Sorry, Ethan. Yeah, they're a good team, and I feel like they're only going to make their team stronger in free agency. I don't know who, but yeah, I think they're poised to, this is only the beginning, I think, in Anaheim. I think they're going to be a contender for years to come, and they should be proud of the season they had. Expectations were, not the highest. They thought it was going to be another, maybe closer to a playoff spot, but not this good by any means. But, yeah, I think they have such a such a good young team, and yeah, like you said, they were really fun to watch. So I do think next year, I think the future is just getting started in Anaheim, and yeah, I think it'll
It'll
be a fun team to watch next year.
it'll be interesting to see if they try and keep John Carlson because I think that would be that would be good if they kept him because he has that veteran
Mm,
presence. He played very well with Jackson Lacombe and the Ducks. The thing that was it's really good about their roster construction is they have a really good mix of veterans and young players. Like you've got Alex
yes,
Killorn, Chris Kreider, uh, John Carlson,
Carlson.
like I said, Jacob Truba. Even though we have our own thoughts on
Even
him,
Mrazek is a
he,
goalie.
yeah, and Radko Gudas, again, I know we have our thoughts on him, but like he's still
Yeah,
a veteran player that can help the
yeah.
younger players adapt
Who
and
will
learn.
probably get re-signed, by the way.
Yeah, so when you have that mix, that usually is a good recipe for success, and it showed this year. And I'm not saying like they need to keep re-signing veterans and re-sign everybody and try and
Hmm.
find more veterans. Like, no,
Yeah,
you have a good mix. Maybe I don't really know what they maybe need to add. I'm not saying that like, oh, they failed in the playoffs. Like a lot of them, a lot of those young guys, this was their first playoff experience. And
mm,
you're not always going to win, come out on top and go super far in your first experience. I mean, look at Philly.
yeah,
Yeah, they beat us, but then they got swept.
mm,
But those guys are learning. So,
hmm,
yeah, I don't want to say that they don't have to do anything to their roster. They absolutely have to do stuff to their roster, but
yeah. I
it
mean, it's
it's
like,
just a matter of like it's a matter of keeping those young guys. And also next season, Mason McTavish needs to bounce back. I think hopefully they can sit down with him and just kind of turn write this off as like a down year. It's kind of
I
similar
wouldn't be
to
surprised if they traded him.
I think
I'm not
depending on
saying I
how he
think they
starts next
should.
season. I think right now they should just because he was in like a dispute about his contract until late in the off season, and that doesn't help any momentum, especially
No.
when you're missing a lot of training camp. So I think that's why they should just like for now write this off as a down year, get him into a full camp, and then hopefully he'll be clicking with everybody next year.
Yeah.
On the other side of this matchup, our resident Toronto fan, how are you feeling about Mitch Marner and his success with Vegas? I know
Honestly, I'm so
we really
happy
shouldn't
for
talk
him.
about this. We
I'm
shouldn't
so
talk
happy
about this
for him.
narrative too much, but Mitch Marner has really been a huge difference
He
for
deserves it.
Vegas.
I'm so happy for him. This is every time somebody leaves the Leafs, they end up doing something like this, and I'm just happy for him.
Yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, his goal in Game 6 was filthy.
It was
Dostal
nice.
had no chance. So I believe he had 9 points in this series. He's I believe he's also leading the playoffs too. So he's leading the charge for the Vegas Golden Knights. Huge asset for them, and especially stepping up when Mark Stone's been out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to find his his sticks. He has 18 points, which is 3 more than anyone else in this playoffs. Like, dang. He's low-key
He's
lighting
having
it
a
up.
good playoffs. Yeah.
Um,
So I know we can jump into a mini preview of the
6,
Western
8,
Conference right now.
9.
I know you think that
He had
Colorado's
11
going to
points
wow, that's crazy. I know you
in
think
6 games.
Colorado's going to make easy work of Vegas, but I think Vegas is going to be able to put up a fight. Like the
Yeah, I
series,
think
they might
Vegas. Go
this
ahead.
might be it might be a rough start for them in this series. But
Yeah.
I still think with how Marner has been going lately that they can absolutely, maybe light up Wedgwood, possibly cause Blackwood to come back in because I don't Colorado's goaltending's not 100% stable. Like, you had a goalie swap happen twice in the last series. Yes, you still won in 5 games, but, you know, if your goaltending's not stable, then I don't know if you're in a good spot to win a series. And we can go into that discussion when we talk about Buffalo too, but I'm not saying that I think Vegas is going to win this series. I think Colorado's just too good and too deep right now, but I could honestly see this series going 6 or 7. I don't think it's going to be quick.
Yeah, I think it'll go in 6. Oh my lord. I think it'll go in 6. I don't think it'll go in 7. I think Colorado's going to put up a fight, definitely, but excuse me. I think Vegas is going to put up a fight, definitely, but at the end of the day, I think Colorado's going to overpower them, and Colorado's going to win the series. I definitely think Vegas will win 2 games. I can't see them winning just 1, and
Yeah.
I can't see them taking them to 7 either. I feel like Colorado in the games that they're going to win, though, they're going to, like, dominate. And I think Vegas will get, like, 1 overtime win and maybe, like, 1 3-2 win or something like that. But a 4-2 win with, like, a empty netter. But I think the games Colorado wins, they're going to see, like, 5-2, 6-1. Like, I don't think it'll be 4-1. Like, I think Colorado's gonna, when they win, they're gonna just dominate, I think.
Yeah, we'll see how Carter Hart plays in this series, because he's been steady for Vegas through the first 2 rounds. But also, I remember, like, when the second round started, the mentality with Vegas was, oh, we basically just played the same team in Utah, a, like, younger, up-and-coming team, a lot of them getting their first playoff experience, kind of, I don't want to say juggernaut, because they're not, but, like, still a very good team.
Yeah.
But also, like, there's just a lot of excitement. Yeah, I mean, I think Utah had more experience than the Ducks, but they were in very similar boats. Okay.
I'd say Anaheim had more experience with, you got Kreider, Killorn.
True.
John Carlson, Gudis.
Okay, yeah. But, like, you also both have the atmospheres are also pretty similar. Like, first time playoff hockey was ever in Utah. First time playoff hockey was in Anaheim in, like, what, 8 years? It was a long time.
9.
9. Oh, wow.
9.
I want to say it was 8 or 9. It was a long time. It was a long time. So the vibes and the situations were very different. So Vegas was pretty confident going in. They're like, oh, if we handle Utah, we can handle the Ducks. So
yeah.
But now they got to face Colorado, which this is not the same team that they've played in the first 2 rounds. Very, very different. Over in the East, we don't need to touch on Carolina because they haven't done anything in a week. They've been relaxing, preparing. But their opponent is still to be determined as... Their opponent is still to be determined, as we have a Game 7 between the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow in Buffalo. We get a Game 7 in Buffalo. It's going to be cinema. It's going to be great. But I had mentioned the unstable goaltending earlier. Buffalo's goaltending has been very unstable, leaky, back and forth this game. Like, I don't even know, Lyon he was very good in net when he came in the first round. And then we started getting question marks. He got pulled. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen came in. I don't know why I was about to say Ullmark there. But then he helped backstop them to a win in Game 4. And then Game 5 happened, and they swapped again, and... Well, I think they swapped after going into Game 6, but then Lyon in Game 6 let in the first 3 shots, and Lindy Ruff was like, you're done. Get out. And then Luukkonen just stopped everything. So you would think that Lukitsch would start Game 7. That's what I'm thinking. How does Montreal respond to both kind of blowing it in Game 6 in their own building, having that lead, losing all of that momentum, but also facing a goalie that you've been able to chase before? And also, Montreal has not lost back-to-back games in these playoffs. And I'm sure that stat's going to be brought up multiple times before the game starts tomorrow. But what do you see Montreal doing in this situation? Because it's kind of a strange one.
Do you want me to give you an honest answer?
This is the time for honesty.
I have no freaking idea. You couldn't. I am at a point where I have zero expectations for either team. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know who's going to be starting. I don't know anything. I genuinely have no answers for you.
I think it's going to be Lukitsch and Lukitsch.
Lukitsch, yes, that's it. I don't know anything else. Don't know who's going to win this game. Don't know how each team's going to come out. I don't know who's starting for Buffalo. I don't have answers for this series, Megan, if I'm being totally honest. I don't. This has just been... You think something's going to happen and then the opposite happens, and then you think something's going to happen and the opposite. I just don't know. I
don't blame you because there was like one close game in this series. Otherwise, they've been kind of blowouts on both sides. We saw in Game 5, Montreal won, and Buffalo just won a blowout.
I have no idea what tomorrow's going to bring.
I would want to expect a blowout maybe, but we know that Game 7, both teams are going to be desperate as heck.
And I have no idea who's going to win.
And Montreal's been very good at responding to losses, but Buffalo's got home ice. They're going to have the crowd behind them. So, they haven't been, perfect on home ice. I think they've only won 2 games on home ice out of the 6 they've played so far. So,
I have no idea.
Montreal already won a Game 7 on the road. So, but they also have that momentum that got taken away from them last game after getting embarrassed on home ice. So that's why I can see why you're utterly confused and don't know what's going to happen in this game.
Because, Buffalo losing on home ice in Game 7, but Montreal also being so good, but Buffalo coming off the dominating... Is Buffalo going to carry the momentum in? Is Montreal going to use their experience in Game 7? I just don't.
Montreal's been good on the road. They've won both of their Game 2s on the road. They won both of their Game 5s. And they won a Game 7 in Tampa with only 9 shots.
Yes.
Obviously, they're not going to want to do that strategy again. But I think, even though they got blown out last time, I think the message in the room should be okay, that was a bad game. They've had their bad games. And they responded. Okay, back it up. They had Game 5, which was bad. And they just responded in crazy fashion. We had Game 6 that was bad. Who's to say we can't respond in a similar way to how they just did? And also, they won a Game 7 on the road against Tampa, who a lot of people picked to win the Cup. So, the message in that room is probably why not? Why can't we win?
Than I do of what's going to happen in this game.
I'm not saying Montreal will win. I'm just kind of looking at it from their perspective of what the message is, just kind of surrounding all the circumstances.
At Buffalo's perspective, though,
we can't.
Montreal destroyed.
Yeah, they have that momentum.
Montreal and beat them in the loudest barn in the entire league, with Larry Robinson in the house. And they did it 8-3 after coming back. Carrying that momentum back at home after 14 years of not making the playoffs. Game 7? I don't know. I just don't know.
You make a good point. That's exactly what's going on with Buffalo right now. And they should feel good about coming in to have that crowd behind them in Game
They
7.
should, but at the same time, what you said about
Montreal's got a lot going
Montreal and
on.
how good they've been.
This is why it's this is why it's a confusing game to predict. And I'm not going to ask you for a prediction unless you want to give one, because
I don't have
struggling
one.
right now. Yeah.
A team is gonna win.
A team is gonna win. Do you think this could go to overtime?
I don't know, Megan. I don't know. I don't know.
There are too many blowouts, so I can't even say that.
I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna be a one-score game or a blowout.
That's just the way the series has gone. I don't blame you, but yeah, we can wrap this up because we don't know what's going on.
I don't know, guys. I don't know. Stop bullying me. I don't know.
I'm not bullying you. Let us know in the comments. Do you think our confusion is valid?
You'd have half the comments saying Montreal's gonna win, and the other half of the comments saying Buffalo's gonna win. For the reasons we just gave.
Yeah, and honestly,
I don't know.
I will not be surprised regardless of who wins. But we do have to talk about a bit of an Eastern Conference final preview. Even though we don't know who the other team is, I just want to at least know, who do you think matches up against Carolina better?
Okay, that I would say...
You're going to be like, whoever wins Game 7. Don't say that, though. I need an answer.
I don't know. Probably Montreal.
Okay.
Hypothetically, okay.
That's an answer.
Probably Montreal.
Hypothetically, Game 7's been played. We have a winner. And if that winner is this... I don't know where I'm going with the situation anymore. I think I agree with you, though.
But also, Buffalo's got... I don't know.
Okay, how about I give my take?
You give your take, and I'll see if I've decided. Because I am indecisive on this. As you can see, Megan also has no idea. So, meanwhile, Megan doesn't, oh my lord. So anyway, during this little brief intermission, let us know who you think in the comments who's going to win this series, Buffalo or Montreal. And also, or you can just say, I don't know, which I don't know. So anyway, I'm just going to yap one.
I'm back.
Megan, welcome back.
It just tapped out on me again, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, so I think that Montreal would actually match up better against Carolina. Do I think Montreal would beat Carolina? That is to be determined. I think, just for the reasons I talked about with goaltending, I think that Montreal is just a little more stable. And Dobish would have a better shot at playing well against Carolina as opposed to Lyon and Lukitsch, who've been back and forth, bouncing in and out of the net. And also with these blowouts that Montreal has won, I think their offense is...
Anyway, while Megan's thing was cutting out again.
I'm back.
So
I don't know why it
Habs
keeps
have
doing
beaten the
this.
teams all three games this year. They won 3-1.
Regular season doesn't tell the whole story, but
they won 7-5,
good point.
5-2 on March 24th, and 3-1 on March 29th.
Yeah, it's also just a matter of, I think that, if Montreal wins Game 7, they'll have a lot of confidence, be like, okay, we beat a contender in Tampa, we beat the best team in our division in Buffalo, we won both of those Game 7s on home ice. Who's to say we can't beat the top team in the conference? And this is going to be the longest stretch that a team has ever had off between series in NHL history. The Canes are going to have 12 days off, regardless of who wins this series.
But like the other, oh my gosh, because like I think Carolina's off. I think the Habs offense would be a lot more. I think they would match up great against Carolina in their defense. I think they could play good, but also the way the Sabres play, I feel like they could also beat Carolina with their style of play. Because oh my gosh.
I think here's more of my thoughts too. Carolina's defense is like their defensive style. They shut down the offense, and Buffalo doesn't have some of their top guys going. Like Tage Thompson, yeah, he scored in the series, but he's kind of struggled. Alex Tuch has done little to nothing. You've got most of Montreal's players going. They've got depth scoring going. I mean, shout out Alex Newhook. If their speed can match the Carolina defense, I think that Montreal would have a better shot. But, I mean, you're at a crisis, so any other thoughts?
I feel like if the Sabres end up playing them, I think the Sabres can beat them in 7. But, like, I feel like if the Habs play them, I think the Habs won't. I think the Habs will play better, but lose. So, like, I don't know how it makes sense in my brain, but that's the vibe I'm getting, and I don't know what to do with that information.
We don't know what to do with a lot of information talking about these two teams. But
I
I'm
don't
really
like
happy
hockey sometimes.
I'm happy the series is going to a game 7 because it's been these teams are fun to watch. Sad that one of them has to go tomorrow.
Can we just eliminate Vegas and eliminate Carolina and have the Colorado play Minnesota again and then have the Sabres play Montreal, and that's just one of those two series go to the Cup?
Unfortunately, that's not how that works, but
I think that
it'll be fun
if I was
regardless.
commissioner, I'd just ban the Golden Knights and
Okay.
I'd ban them for not doing a press conference, and
We'll get to that more in a bit.
and I'll ban the Canes for being, quote, too boring. That the TV ratings will go down, and I just make this Colorado versus whoever wins this series the Stanley Cup final.
Okay. Well, Carolina's going to end up with 12 days off, which is crazy. So we'll see how that rest plays out for them. That's all we've got for the Stanley Cup playoffs. A quick update on the PWHL and the Walter Cup playoffs. Unfortunately, my beloved Minnesota Frost lost in Game 5 to the Montreal Victoire. The curse of the first round, the first overall seed is over. The reign of the Frost is over. There will be no three-peat.
And I will actually watch the game.
Why weren't you watching it before?
Because I wasn't at your house before.
True. That makes sense.
Me and Jake watched the PWHL game. Breaking news.
Yeah. But the Walter Cup finals are underway between the Montreal Victoire and the Ottawa Charge. They are 2 games into that series, and Montreal has won both of those in overtime. The end of Game 1 was crazy. Montreal tied it with literally 2 seconds left, and that happened right after Laura Stacey went down with an apparent knee injury. She came back for overtime because hockey players are tough, and in overtime, it was Abby Rock getting the game-winning goal. It was a weird bounce. It went off her head. She didn't headbutt it in or anything, but Montreal took Game 1 in overtime, and then they took Game 2 in overtime as well. Not as crazy as Game 1. It was a lot tighter. It was a 2-1 victory for the Victoire, and it was Maggie Flaherty getting the game-winning goal in overtime. And we have Game 3 in Ottawa on Monday at 6 p.m. So tonight, when you are watching this episode, Ottawa has not lost at home during the playoffs, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond, see if their offense can get going and beat Renee Desbiens, who's been unreal for the Victoire so far, and see if they're able to get their first win of the series, maybe tie it up, and see if we can send it back to another Game 5 in Montreal. But in other news in the PWHL, 2 more expansion teams were announced. Got one in Hamilton, Ontario, and one in Las Vegas, Nevada, which kind of came out of left field for me. Yeah. I have mixed thoughts on that.
I want my Pittsburgh team so I can watch PWHL.
Me too. But I honestly didn't expect Vegas to be one of the teams because they were never a stop on the takeover tour. I know there's a lot of analytics, business things go into it, administrative things. So we don't know the full story of like why maybe a Chicago or a Denver team didn't work out. Don't really know if either of those cities actually put a bid in, because you can't just be like, the league's not just like, you get a team, here you go. Like, they actually have to like want a team. There might be like a whole government official thing that they're like,
I want a
hey,
team.
we want a team. Yeah, here's like our logistics for it. This is how it could work.
I want
Let's
a team.
Make a deal. I want a team too.
I want an NBA team.
I don't watch the NBA, so you can want an NBA.
Well, guess what? If we had a team, you could.
That's true. I could. But
Exactly.
overall, the NBA just doesn't pique my interest too much. But it is rumored that there's going to be one more expansion team getting announced.
Please!
It's not.
Please.
It's not. I know the rumored city.
Is it San Jose?
It is San Jose. That's what's rumored.
God.
Which is also really surprising to me because they never did a takeover tour stop there either. So lots of left field cities. We'll see how Vegas and San Jose work out. I anticipate Hamilton to be successful. Kind of surprised they didn't go Halifax because now there are 3 teams in Ontario. But it is what it is. I don't control. Yeah, I don't control the PWHL. I just am happy that there's a team in Detroit and I have a close location that I can go to. So, woohoo! But that's all I had for the PWHL news. Last week, Matthew Schaefer was awarded the Calder Trophy. Big shock. But he was the first unanimously voted winner of the Calder Trophy since Teemu Selanne won it. So, crazy that he got 198 people to agree on something. But shout out Matthew Schaefer. I hate that he's in our division, but he's an unbelievable player, an even more unbelievable person. So, he deserves it. The way they awarded it to him on Good Morning America, it was touching. So, yeah, he's gonna be a problem for the Penguins in many, many, many years to come. But yeah, awesome,
Dude, that would
awesome season, awesome rookie season. What?
Imagine the Pittsburgh Puffins.
That could be fun.
Of course, they'd be black
Maybe-
and gold, because if you're not, in
maybe-
this city, that's a problem.
Maybe someday. But I think after this year, I think there's going to be a pause on expanding anymore because adding 4 teams in 1 year it's kind of crazy. So I think after this year, the league is going to slow down for a bit and try and ride that momentum of these new teams, probably do more takeover tour stops, and we'll see when the next expansion happens. I just don't want the league to expand too fast. I hope so. All right. And as I mentioned before, we have some drama to talk about. So, first thing we're going to address is what's going on in Edmonton. I feel like they're here like every other podcast episode now. So, to start with this whole story, Nick, your favorite person, Frank Saravalli, tweeted that, I'm sorry, he's the source here. He tweeted that the Edmonton Oilers had inquired about speaking to Bruce Cassidy, and Vegas would not grant them permission to do so because Cassidy was fired. He's still technically under contract, so he can't just willy-nilly go talk to anybody he wants. Other teams have to get permission. So it was both Edmonton and LA that were not given permission. Now, LA, we were like, okay, they hired DJ Smith as like an interim. That's not a big surprise that they're trying to talk to Bruce Cassidy. But Edmonton was where you're like, oh, they're trying to talk to other people? Chris Knobloch's gone. Like, I think that getting leaked might have forced their hand, and a couple days later, Chris Knobloch was fired. He's no longer the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, which is crazy because he signed a 3-year extension back at the beginning of this season, and that hasn't kicked in yet. So, Nick, your thoughts on Chris Knoblauch no longer being the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, and also how this whole situation has kind of been handled?
What a mess. Ay, caramba. I mean, the Oilers, they have good coaches and they don't win a cup, so they just throw them away. He's a good coach. Whoever has him is going to be pretty successful next. Toronto, if you're listening, at least if you can hear me.
Yeah, Craig Berube also got fired, but that's not as...
Yeah, he did get fired, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a trade. Like Berube ends up in Edmonton, and then Knoblauch ends up in the Leafs. That'd be kind of funny.
Who knows? I mean, they might need someone who's like a little tougher on guys in Edmonton, because I don't know if Chris Knoblauch was always
please.
I don't know if he was always the biggest risk taker, and like Knoblauch had that familiarity with McDavid, and that's why it worked so well, especially for those two finals runs. But I didn't think that this was the answer necessarily.
No, it wasn't.
It has to start with roster construction. If you construct a good roster and have a coach who's not playing those guys to the best of their abilities, then fire the coach. I think that's where it should start, but that's clearly...
Stan Bowman should have been...
That's not where we're starting. It should have started with a GM, but if that didn't...
Knoblauch should have had another
If that
year.
wasn't where it was going to start, then it should have started with the roster. I mean, there's only so much they can do right now because playoffs are still going on, draft hasn't happened, free agency hasn't opened, but like, I don't want to call this a panic move, but it just doesn't feel like now is the time. Like they fired Jay Woodcroft before hiring Chris Knoblauch, and that was in the middle of the season. Like, there's nothing wrong with firing your coach in the middle of the season.
No.
It worked for you before. Not saying that you would want to be doing that again, but like if you had to, it's not like it would be the worst thing in the world. No.
I mean, you literally... This guy loses in the first round once, and you fire him. It's insane. I don't know what... you weren't given the players. Like, your biggest move at the, trade deadline this year was acquiring Jason Dickinson and Connor Murphy. That's your problem.
Yeah.
That's your problem. And also, we talked about the Jolly trade. That in itself is a fireable offense, just with that trade alone.
Yeah, I mean, your goaltending took a step back after that, and then the defenseman that you gave up who had scored for you in the playoffs last year, ends up scoring the series-winning goal for another team who's wasn't even the team that you traded to him initially, but back in your conference.
Skinner. Skinner didn't even play that bad, and he had his
no, and I still.
But
I know that we both. I know
that wasn't his fault.
No, and I know that both us, the Penguins, and the Oilers were out in the first round, but we still benefited more from the trade. Skinner helped us get into the playoffs. You had Jari riding the bench before April.
Yeah.
We had a healthy. We had a healthy
Skinner
rotation.
Was the reason why we lost by 1 or 2 goals each game and not by 8 for the way the team was playing. Even though they replaced him, they only replaced Skinner because you needed something to get the momentum.
Yeah.
To wake him up.
I will say that even though the series loss wasn't his fault, there were definitely some goals in Game 3 that he should have had. Or
that's what I mean.
Back. But
that's
still,
one game compared
to
2 months.
Yeah. So that's the situation in Edmonton. And we will wrap this up now with the drama in Vegas. If you watched our Stanley Cup in 60 recaps. I covered this in a special extended edition a couple days ago.
Ooh.
But if you, yeah, I was just like, I didn't make it yet. I made it pretty late in the day. And then I woke up from a nap to my phone blowing up. I'm like, what is going on? And then I just saw Vegas got fined. Vegas has to give up a pick. I'm like, okay, that makes sense why my phone is blowing up. And then I was like, let me talk about this. This is important. This is relevant. So if you missed that and you've been under a rock, what happened was after their Game 6 win, the Vegas Golden Knights did not open up the dressing room for the media to come in, and John Tortorella also did not go to the podium and speak to the media like coaches are supposed to do. Only 2 players went to the podium and spoke, and also there was another player that went off into a side room. I don't really know how many members of the media ended up talking to that person or who that player even was. And as a result, the NHL fined the Vegas Golden Knights $100,000 and also made them give up their second round draft pick, which normally people would be like, okay, it's a second rounder, whatever. Vegas does not have first rounders for the next couple of years. They don't have a lot of second rounders. Most of their work on draft days really, starts in the third round. That's going to be the case now this year because their highest pick was a second round pick, and now they don't have it. So the team can appeal this punishment, probably, I believe, beginning tomorrow. But my personal thought on this is that giving up the draft pick is a little much. I think the fine would just be like, I know that would be more of a slap on the wrist. The draft pick definitely sends a message. I don't know why they did this. I guess they're like, I know, Nick, I'll get your thoughts on this in a moment, but I know that like people were like, why is the media complaining? Like, come on, you guys, like, you don't need to be complaining. And other people were like up in arms on the media side, like, this is ridiculous. Why aren't they like giving us the access that we need, that we deserve? Apparently there is like an agreement in the CBA that like makes it so that the coach has to speak or that the dressing room needs to get opened up. I don't really know exactly the details, but apparently this was like a CBA violation. So, Nick, your thoughts on the situation, the punishment, everything?
My thoughts is typical John Tortorella, whining and crying. Apparently it also sounds like I guess this might be not the first time something like this happened with Vegas. I don't know what the other times were, but it sounded like that's why the penalty was so severe. It's because the NHL has given them warnings before for, I don't know if it's the same thing or similar type things, but the NHL had enough. So they did this. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you're hiding that you feel the need to not speak to the media after you won a series. I think that's very weird, to be quite honest with you. And I don't know if it was because of the McNabb hit. I don't know if it was because you just wanted to sell it. Whatever it was, it's a little sus. And I am curious on what are you hiding that you don't want to speak to the media about? Because even for Tortorella standards, that's weird.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard rumors that have like no validity to them that like this was in protest of the McNabb suspension. Don't take my word for it if that's don't take my word for it. That's what some people believe. That's what some people believe. I don't know if I fully believe that. I think like if you don't open up the room and you don't talk to the media after like a really bad loss, like especially in the regular season, I can understand that. But after you win a series, and pretty handedly in Game 6, they won that game, that's where I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Also, like, I was listening to another podcast, and, like, one player had commented, like, saying, because when Marner and I forget who else it was went to the podium. They said like, oh, we have like 10 minutes, otherwise the bus is going to leave us. Like they are on strict times about the bus leaving and their flight leaving too. So like one player on this other podcast I was listening to said like, okay, that probably might have been the reason, but I don't know if that really was, considering that a whole fine came out of this. So
Yeah, but normally,
it's a weird situation. Go ahead.
I know we're talking about bus times, but like, from someone who works at a stadium for a team, the bus times are normally, like, always, in fact, like, hold on. So today's game, just using the Pirates for example, today's game ended around, what was it, what time did the game start? Because I know it was exactly 2.5 hours. Game started
at 1:40 or 2:40. 1:40 probably.
So it started at 1:40, right? So because it started at 1:40, sorry, 1:35. So because it started at 1:35, an hour and a half, or 2.5 hours would be 4:05. So if I'm not mistaken, the bus time for the Phillies today was 5:15, I think. So that gives them over an hour, 5:10. So they have from between the time the game ends to, and today was special because they only had one bus, which normally teams will have 2 or 3 separate buses. So normally you have an hour between the time the game ends, at least in baseball, I don't know. But that's normally when the first bus leaves, an hour after the game ends. So because of that, you should have time for media.
Yeah, and you'd think that they would have flexible times too, because you don't know if a game could go to overtime, and then
yes.
Even then, you don't know how many overtimes it could go to.
That's the thing. That's why it's an hour after the game ends, like whenever the game actually ends.
Yeah,
Not
and like I'm sure if that game went to extra innings, they would push back the bus time probably.
Yes. Like if let's say the game
has that happened before? Because I know some games went to extra innings this year.
Like let's say the game did go to extra innings today, and it went to I don't know, if 4:10 was when the game ended, 4:05. Let's say it ended at
let's say like 4:05. Like 5 o'clock. Let's just say 5 o'clock.
Yeah. So if the game ended at 5, the bus time would have been 6:05. So, and because it was only the one bus today, it would have been 6:05. But normally there's a bus that leaves 45 minutes, an hour, and an hour 15. Most of the time. But because it was one bus, it was an hour. So the teams that are doing, the players that are doing like mostly interviews and stuff, like the pressers after the game, especially for a playoff game, because obviously I haven't worked a playoff game yet. It might even be even longer because it's a playoff game. And if it's a series-ending game, obviously it might even be like an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I can tell from my experience, I know it might be different like as the rounds get further into the playoffs, but at least for the first round with media, when I was with the radio, I never went down there. Yeah. But I know that like it was both head coaches would go to the podium, and then players from the winning team would go to the podium. Yeah. So I think I remember game 2 I worked, I think Porter Martone went to the podium.
Yes.
But the locker rooms were still opened up.
Yeah.
Like we still have people go get Penguin sound. And I think I don't really remember what happened game 5, but I think that like the Flyers locker room was still open for sound.
Yes.
So it's
absolutely.
It's just protocol. And
yeah, I mean just like that.
I mean I don't want to be up in arms. I know technically I am part of the media. But I don't really want to be like crazy up in arms about this because like I want to respect teams' decisions, but like if there is an agreement in place, like especially like a collective bargaining agreement, then I would be a little bit more like,
yeah, it's not just the NHL,
especially after a win. Like it doesn't make sense. Like why
Yeah,
are you
MLB,
gatekeeping? So
and like if they lost, okay, makes most sense, but they won?
yeah,
That doesn't make sense at all.
no,
The whole thing just seems so
yeah.
sus to me.
So
You can't use bus times as an excuse for something like this because the bus times are worked into knowing that players got media, that the coaches have media, like that, knowing that you can't use bus times as an excuse for this.
yeah, so I mean, we're not going to get on like a heated tangent about this anymore.
No, it
It'll
just
be interesting to see
makes
what
sense.
what Vegas actually says because they addressed it very briefly after the fine
Yeah,
was announced. They just said there will be no further comment at this time. I'm sure Tortorella is going to speak to the media before Game 1 of the Western Conference Final,
um,
so he's going to have to talk to them eventually, and I'm sure they're gonna ask him about it. So we'll we'll see what gets said. Do you have news based on your face or something?
no, if this is what I think of, there's no way, right?
Is this hockey related?
No. Well, I mean, it's involving PPG Paints Arena, but not the
You can
hockey.
tell me. You can tell me after. Um, but that is all we had for our additional news. That is all we have today for this week's episode. We got to wrap this up because I got to get going somewhere. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for watching this week's episode. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to Have a Shift Day on YouTube and Spotify. And make sure you are following us on TikTok, Instagram, and X at haveashift_A. Thanks for sticking with us through my lovely microphone technical difficulties. Don't know why I did that today. And we will check in with you next week as the conference finals get in full swing, and we will find out who wins this Game 7 between Buffalo and Montreal. Enjoy watching that tonight, and also if you're watching the Walter Cup playoffs, enjoy that as well. And we will see you next week.
Bye, y'all.